Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Petersen here. I'm a former presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Thank you very much for tuning into our Facebook live streams today. We've got a really interesting show. Quite a few things that I want to cover, and I try and keep these things shorter and shorter because I know you guys like the shorter streams, but today is a topic that I'm very fascinated with, and I might allow you guys to call into the show later. So hopefully, if we've got time, we'll have a little bit of a discussion about whether or not Edward Snowden is a libertarian hero or a traitor to the nation state. Can he be both? That's the question I think the savvy audience is going to ask. But today, I'm really excited because I'm going to see the Snowden film tonight. It's by Oliver Stone, and I'm kind of excited to see what the take is on it. I've got a movie review from the Kansas City Star, where I am located, and I thought that you guys might like if we read it. But first, we should definitely watch the trailer together. You want to do that? Okay, great. Well, I've got it queued up and ready for us, so we'll talk about it. But before I do, you guys might notice there is a little head, little Gary right up here. And the reason why I've got this little plug up here is because I'm going to ask all my friends, give a shout out to the Libertarian Party of Florida. My friend Jess Mears down there asked if I would help publicize the Let Gary Debate hashtag, and I definitely want to give a shout out to my boy Gary Johnson. So do me a favor, and you guys use the hashtag Let Gary Debate on Twitter today and try and get Gary into the presidential debates. I think he's polling 8% nationally and he needs to get to 15%. Some polls he's gotten as high as 12%. It's not looking good. So I think it's time for us, the activists, to give it one big push, and that's going to be upon us to contact these polling agencies, make sure that they know that Gary is being included in all these debates, that everything's, things aren't happening on the DL, happening on the sly. So help a brother out, help Gary out, and we'll let this hashtag go through the entire show. So, all right, and before we get to the Snowden trailer, I've got another announcement, or I guess I've got something to ask you guys. Just how bad is the terrorist problem in Tennessee? Okay, is Tennessee like Islamabad? I mean, what's going on down in Tennessee? So if you look at what the Pentagon is giving Tennessee cops, you'd think there was basically a total invasion happening down there. Why? You've got to check out the Stonegate Institute's Facebook page. If you don't know how to spell it, let me put it up on the screen. Check it out right there, the Stonegate Institute. Go to their Facebook page, not right now, of course, because you're going to finish watching the show, right? But go to the Stonegate Institute's Facebook page when this is over and check out what's happening down in Tennessee. It's something of concern to libertarians and freedom fighters all over the place. Whoop, where'd I go? Disappeared. Oh, that's my magical disappearing act. Anyways, this is what happens when you write, create, control, produce, star in your own productions. This is what happens. Anyways, I'm getting a little red from embarrassment. All right, so let's just watch the Snowden trailer. What do you say, guys? Let's do it. Go.
Best I can tell, you've been walking around on two broken legs for weeks.
All right, and we're back. So obviously I'm seeing over here, you guys are seeing no sound. Why does this never work when I'm actually doing the live stream? That is so freaking ridiculous. So I did a test right before this. It worked perfectly. And of course, as soon as the show starts for the real deal, we've got no audio. It makes no sense. Anyways, Gotta move on, ladies and gentlemen. So the Snowden trailer to me looks very exciting. If you haven't seen it yet, you gotta watch it because it looks amazing. And I'm not a huge fan of Oliver Stone necessarily because I don't really go for the big conspiracy theory stuff. But the Snowden story is of utmost importance to libertarians, and it's utmost important to people who care about civil liberties, who care about what the NSA is doing, who care about spying, unconstitutional surveillance that goes on, which I believe is an abrogation of our Fourth Amendment rights. But what I'd like to do for this discussion topic today is I'd like to talk to you about the real questions of whether Snowden is someone to be lionized. Is he someone that we need to raise up as a hero? Because there have been some accusations against Edward Snowden, and these accusations may or may not be true. And of course, if it's the government making the accusation, the libertarians are necessarily going to be like circling the wagons, right? But in order for us to make sure that more than just ideologues, or more that we're not zealots, we should always consider both sides of a story. So what I'd like to do is to read a little bit to you about this film review, and then I want to talk to you about what my thoughts are on Edward Snowden, what I think about him, and then after this is over, I'm going to invite you guys to call into the show. It's Friday, let's have a little bit of fun. So call into the show, and of course, if you're watching this on a mobile device or if you're on a desktop or something like that, and you can use the hashtag today, don't forget, Let Gary Debate. So let's take a look. This is from the Kansas City Star today, and I thought this was a really good article. This was by Robert Butler. And Robert Butler is saying that this story is amazing, that this story was practically made for Oliver Stone. It's about government overreach, conspiracy, corruption, and a hero who acts alone in defiance of hopeless odds. I mean, these are the kind of things that he does in all of his films of major themes. JFK, Salvador, Born on the 4th of July, Wall Street, Platoon. And with age has come a certain mellowing of the Stone approach. This is what the author says. But that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Stone has basically found a leading man at the peak of his powers. And if you guys don't know who Joseph Gordon-Levitt is, you're probably not a nerd. Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a long and storied history in Hollywood, and he went from being like a boy actor to now being a major superstar and playing Edward Snowden. And I'm really excited, so I'll probably do an update next week on next week's live stream to talk about my thoughts about the film. But for now, I'm just giving you the anticipation because this is the breaking news, so we should talk about it now. And also analyze what libertarians think about this from a real national security perspective, more than just past the Hollywood fluff. Because again, you know that Oliver Stone is going to lionize Snowden. And of course, once somebody starts being lionized, then the true contrarian and libertarian will say, okay, well, just how great are they? So we should examine some of the claims that are made in the film, which again, I haven't seen yet, but only what I can insinuate from the trailers of what's been seen. I'm taking this information secondhand, so I want to make sure that I watch the film to make my final decision, but we'll talk about this afterwards. And the author says, those whose minds are not already made up when it comes to l'affaire de Snowden will find Stone's new film Snowden largely convincing. So apparently it's a very convincing film. Even if you're inclined to brand Snowden as a traitor worthy of death, the film will remain troubling. So Donald Trump needs to probably watch the Snowden film this weekend, because he did say that death to traitors. And a lot of people agree with that stuff, and we've got to address those concerns if we want to combat them. Those whose minds are not already made up. Okay, so he talks about, there's another documentary which I had not heard of before, which is kind of interesting. It's called Citizen 4. Apparently it won an Oscar, but I don't know how it slipped past me. Maybe I was running for president at the time. I don't know. But there was an Oscar-winning documentary about Snowden in 2015 where it shows him hiding in a Hong Kong hotel room. He's being interrogated by journalists who would leak his revelations to the waiting world. And most people don't like documentaries. They'd rather watch major motion pictures like this one. So I'm putting Citizen 4 on my documentary watch list, and tonight I'm going to go see Snowden. Most of Snowden is one long flashback. It talks about him being in an army training camp. And if you saw the trailer, which I don't know why the sound wasn't playing earlier, but apparently they claim in the movie that Snowden had 2 broken legs. And we're going to address that claim as well. But also the trailer claims to show that Snowden was trying to work for the CIA. Some of those claims were disputed officially by the government today. So we should analyze their remarks and make sure that we're being as accurate as possible. Most Americans don't want freedom. They want security. All right, now this is a really interesting story, and I want to talk to you about it for just a second. There is a claim to that is partially truth. I think that he's wrong when he says most Americans don't want freedom, they want security. So this is Snowden's bosses, Edward Snowden's bosses, are claiming that people do want security, right? They absolutely do. And one of the libertarians charged Although this may grate on us, right? This may grate at our nerves, at our individualism, down to our core. To hear someone say that most Americans want security over liberty. Isn't that the same argument we have been making over the last, 50, 60, 70, 80 years as the progressive era hit its height, and now we've gotten to the big government that we have today? So it says most Americans don't want security, they want liberty. I don't know if that's true, actually, because there are a lot of Americans who are individualistic, who believe in freedom, real freedom as we understand it. As a matter of fact, look what happened in my home state in Missouri just this week, where they passed constitutional carry. They overrode the veto of my governor. They overrode the veto that he had placed in order to block constitutional carry, which constitutional carry means that I don't need any more to go pay $100 to take a class and to conceal carry. And now, in honor of this wonderful light of freedom, I'm planning on purchasing a nice, beautiful 1911 that I will be able to conceal. So be talking crap, busting nut, and pull out my gat. Anyways, but no, I'm really excited about this because that means more freedom. That means that people of Missouri, specifically the Republican Congress of Missouri, which overturned his veto, some people do believe in freedom. So we may be, the libertarians, we may be a minority, but we are a firm minority, and we should stay and stick to it, and that's why we need to keep fighting for our rights, because we do get victories. We have a tendency, because we're kind of pessimists, to overlook the victories and to focus on all the losses as they mount, but we should focus on victories and finding out where we can win some victories soon. And maybe one of these victories could be, let's get this guy in the debate. Use hashtag #LetGaryDebate today. So anyways, Joseph Gordon-Levitt he lowers his voice, because if you've ever listened to Edward Snowden talk, Snowden has this kind of characteristic voice. It's very low, what I've seen from the trailer, it looks as if Levitt nails it. So I'm kind of interested just to see what his acting chops are as he tries to bring Snowden to life dramatically. But let's talk about some of these claims, because I'm getting this from the Daily Caller. So again, they're more conservative. They're libertarian-ish, but not as libertarian as the libertarianrepublic.com, of course. But key elements of Edward Snowden's history may have turned out to be massively exaggerated. Okay, now it's important for Hollywood to make this really cool story. And Stone worked in conjunction with Snowden, so Snowden may have fed him some details. For all we know, Oliver Stone may have taken some liberties for dramatic effect, but it's important for us as libertarians when we're talking, we have to separate what is Hollywood from reality. So let's take a listen at some of these criticisms that were made against Snowden. Keep in mind they were made by the House Intelligence Committee, so you know that they have every reason to embellish their side of the story as well. And hopefully you and I, as critical thinkers, can get down to what is really true. Edward Snowden's story of being kicked out of the U.S. Army for breaking his legs is a lie, says a new report from the House Intelligence Committee. Okay, he claimed to have left Army basic training because of broken legs, when in fact he washed out because of shin splints. A damning sentence in the committee report notes. The committee report has an entire paragraph dedicated to Snowden's lies, literally titled, "Snowden was and remains a serial exaggerator and fabricator." The report further notes, he claimed to have attained a high school degree equivalent when in fact he never did. He claimed to have worked for the CIA as a senior advisor, which is a gross exaggeration of his entry-level duties as a computer technician. He also doctored his performance evaluations and obtained new positions at the NSA by exaggerating his resume and stealing the answers to an employment test. In May 2013, Snowden informed his supervisor he would be out of the office to receive treatment for worsening epilepsy. In reality, he was on his way to Hong Kong with stolen secrets. Well, you can expect that Snowden's going to lie to the NSA, and he's going to do things like that if he thinks that they're committing crimes against the American people. So, well, just on its face, you should expect, the House Intelligence Committee should expect that there will be some deceit on the part of Snowden, on behalf of the American people, because if you are collecting metadata such as you are without a warrant, then the government is breaking the law. And it's not against the law to expose when the government is breaking the law, especially when that law that they are breaking is an enumerated right in the Bill of Rights, the Fourth Amendment. The right to be secure in your person, places, papers and effects from unreasonable searches and seizures. Keyword unreasonable, and we can talk about that later on in the show because it looks like I am going to have a little bit of time for you guys to do a call-in show. I'll give you the phone number here in just a moment. As soon as I finish this, and then I can opine on what my thoughts are on Edward Snowden while you guys make your calls. I'll give you the phone number here in just a few. To be clear, shin splints are a legitimate injury, but also quite common in military ranks. Describing shin splints as broken legs could be misleading to anyone who doesn't understand the injury or how common it is. Countless active duty service members cope with stress fractures and shin splints and remain in the service. The report was attached to a letter signed by 23 representatives urging President Obama not to pardon Snowden for his crime of leaking immense amounts of classified information. The letter states unequivocally, Mr. Snowden is not a patriot. He is not a whistleblower. He is a criminal. Snowden lives a comfortable life in Russia with the auspices of President Vladimir Putin. This is Daily Caller. Now be careful on the wording. Snowden has expressed a desire to return to the U.S., but does not believe he should face any real punishment. I've told the government I would return if they would guarantee a fair trial where I can make a public interest defense of why this was done and allow a jury to decide. Snowden told an audience in February of 2016, so this was this year. Listen to this. He says that he would return if he could be guaranteed a fair trial where he can make a public interest defense of why it was done and allow a jury to decide. Very interesting. Reports indicate Snowden made over $200,000 in speaking fees in the last year alone, which the Daily Caller said would guarantee him quite a nice life in Moscow. So, what do you think? Hero or traitors, ladies and gentlemen? Let me just drop the phone number. You guys can give me a call, and then you guys, I'll put you on speakerphone. You can tell me your thoughts on Snowden. If you have a question that's related to Snowden the movie or to Snowden the history, or if you just have anything that's sort of foreign policy related, let's try and stick to topic if you guys can. Don't ask me if I'm going to run for president again. Okay, just don't. Hashtag Let Gary Debate. The phone number is, and this will expire tonight, 816 260-0880, 816-260-0880. Light it up if you guys want to give a call and talk about Snowden. But here's my thoughts. My thoughts are that it's very possible, I'm a little bit on the fence, because Snowden unquestionably uncovered crime committed against our constitutional rights in the Fourth Amendment. However, the charges are that Snowden had passed information to our enemies, the Chinese or the Russians. And in that sense, it's hard for me to support someone like that. We got our first caller. Hold on just 1 second. Hello, you're on the line. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Sean from Florida.
Hey, Sean, I'm going to put you on speakerphone and let you ask your question, okay? Okay, Sean, ask away.
Hi, this is Sean from Florida. Yeah, I agree with you when you say that that he absolutely did something that's a service to the American people. And I mean, he did that full well knowing that, you know, he could be incarcerated or even killed if he comes back to America for that.
Right. So my question to you then, I guess I would respond, I want to ask you is if he passed information to the Russians or the Chinese that was not about the committed crimes, what if he passed information about how we collect our security information that would compromise our national security? And what if he did that in order to protect himself so that he could flee? Would that not make him a traitor?
I think in that context it would. I mean, like, he knows what's being done. He knows what the government is doing to be illegal, but on the other hand, he also knows, you know, what would be in the best interest of national security too. I mean, I think that's a very difficult position to be in, to have to balance, you know, deciding what needs to be known by the people and what needs to be kept secret to protect, like, our operatives and intelligence and stuff like that.
Yeah, Sean, we're taking calls at 816-260-0880. Before you go, Sean, are you going to go see the film?
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm actually going to be up in Kansas City beginning of October, so hopefully I'll check it out up then.
Well, if you're going to be in Kansas City, hit me up because I'm out here. Let's go out and grab a beer sometime and talk about liberty. One last thing. What do you think about letting Gary Johnson in the debates?
I think he absolutely needs to be in the debate. Anyone who's on the ballot in all 50 states should absolutely be able to debate.
Great. Thanks for...
I don't think it should be like a poll number thing.
Yeah, good to know. Thanks a lot, Sean, and you have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too. Take care.
Hello, this is Austin. You're on the line. Who am I speaking with?
Hello, this is Sean from Indiana. Very nice to speak with you. I wanted to get your general thoughts on not just Edward Snowden, but also how do you think it's going to impact our relations with Russia down the road, especially.
Great question. Let me put you on speaker. I want you to ask that on air so the audience can hear. Hold on just a moment. All right, say your name, where you're from, and ask your question for me.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Sean, and I'm from Indiana. I wanted to ask you more about Russia and the United States relationship pertaining to Edward Snowden, just because you obviously look at the incidents pertaining to the supposed collaboration between Donald Trump and the Kremlin and all this stuff that the media is putting out there. And how do you think this is going to unfold in the long run, not just with Edward Snowden, but with the general cybersecurity of the United States?
Great question. I'll answer that off the air. Thanks for calling. So the phone number is 816-260-0880. Give you guys a call. The good question, it's a very good question from Sean in Indiana about whether or not this will impact our national security and especially in regards to our relation with Russia. I think it absolutely will, because it does give Russia a bit of a trump card. The fact that they hold Snowden, it gives them an ability to embarrass our security apparatuses, and it does put us in a very awkward position. So what do you guys think about that? I want to hear from you. Give me a call and let me know what you think. The phone number is 816-260-0880, and I really appreciate you guys watching the show today. Are you guys going to go see the Snowden film? Give us a call. Let us know. Some people have already seen it because they actually got promos or previews. I'd love to talk to a caller who's actually seen the film. The phone number is 816-260-0880. And yeah, we'll probably stick around here for another couple minutes, maybe take a couple more calls. I'm really excited for the weekend, aren't you guys? I'm so happy that the weekend is here. It's been a long week, struggling week. Sometimes you get big hits in the news business, and other weeks you get kind of like there's not a lot of interesting news to report on. We had the Hillary story, but after Hillary keeled over in New York, there really wasn't a whole lot of interesting things other than the speculation about what would happen, of course, with Hillary. But all right, well, it looks like there's no more calls, so I really appreciate you guys watching the show today. Do me a favor, if you like the libertarianrepublic.com, do me a favor and subscribe. $5 a month and you get no ads, and all of our lists on one page. It's a beautiful little system. You can cancel at any time. $5 a month or $55 for a year. Do you guys read the libertarianrepublic.com? If you do and you're a regular reader, help support libertarian journalism. And don't forget to check out our sister site, libertyviral.com, headed up by the lovely Liberty Laura. And as always, don't forget to come back every single day to your home for economic freedom and personal liberty at thelibertarianrepublic.com.